Hi, this is 100 and 100, where we are reviewing 100 VR games in 100 days. Today we are looking at Knockout League. Knockout League is an intense game that is really fun to play, is really interactive, and will really get your heart rate up and maybe get some sweat on that face pad of your VR headset. We're excited to review it for you today. In our VR Gear game reviews, we cover as many aspects of the game as possible so that you can make an informed decision before you try or buy one of these VR titles. Knockout League was a fantastic game to play. We really had a good time playing it. And let's jump into the review, starting with getting up and running with Knockout League. You're able to find this game on all of the different VR stores. It's in the PSVR store, the Oculus store, it's in the Vive store, Vive Port Infinity store, and it's on Steam. The game is selling for $19.99, and you'll be able to play this game after the installation completes with a download file size of 4 gigabytes. Knockout League is an action sports game with a really fun animated layer that makes the game all the more exciting and all the more engaging. You'll start this game in the main menu and you'll be introduced to your boxing trainer, who will refer to you as Young Blood during the entire course of your tutorial, as well as into the first and second matches while you're trying to master the art of boxing and knocking out your opponents. This game is played from the first-person perspective. You're not able to see your boxing shorts or your boxing boots or your finely ripped torso with your 9-pack and giant pecs or your biceps and forearms, but what you will see is your boxing gloves. And your boxing gloves are very important to pay attention to, as during gameplay they will let you know whether or not you can use one of your power-ups, whether or not your blocks are becoming weak, or if you're ready to take a jab at the opponent with the greatest amount of force and knockout potential. Your gloves are very important to pay attention to, but in the game, these are the only things that you will be able to see. As far as a storyline goes, there isn't much of one, but there is a very strong theme, and the tutorial as well as the coach that you're assigned at the very beginning of the game is something that makes the game all the better. The boxing theme, along with the boxing training, is something that you're going to really enjoy. We found that it was incredibly helpful that the tutorial was personalized and the reference to you as being Young Blood was sort of endearing, and it made the tutorial all the more engaging and made us want to master the skills even more. There was a sense of motivation from the coach that made you want to succeed, which was really great. Not all games have a tutorial like this, but this game pulled it off very well. The controls for this game were very straightforward. During the menu, you're able to select different options using the trigger button, and during gameplay, you aren't doing much of button pushing as much as you are moving your controllers around by swinging your fists through the air at your opponent to knock them out. One thing about the controls that might need some refinement down the road is that you need to hold the triggers down to keep your fists closed. When you're blocking, it's important to release your fists so that the block is initiated, but when you're boxing, you need to close your fists, and to do that, you need to hold the trigger down. It's obvious why the game developers wanted to have some sort of differentiation between open fist and closed fist, because it equates to different type of gameplay modes. But it was actually pretty difficult to master that during gameplay because it wasn't a very natural way to play. But other than pulling the trigger, the only other controller inputs was moving the controllers or your headset as you're dodging punches that are being thrown at you. For music and sound, this game did a really great job with the punching sounds and most especially with the crowd as they would cheer you on at different parts of each match. There was some repetition to the music that was playing in the background, but it did progress as you progressed through each round of your boxing match. The best part about the audio was the voiceover that was given to you from the trainer. It was motivating, it was helpful, encouraging, And it was just what made the game that much better. It was an element that without it, the game might not have been so much fun. But we loved the trainer during the tutorial, and we loved the trainer as he encouraged us between each match. For player movement, you will be ducking and dodging and leaning left and right, but you won't be stepping forward or backwards or stepping left to right. You will be playing the game from a completely stationary position, and all you will be doing is fielding punches that are coming to you from the front. In addition to that, you won't rotate either. You're leaning left and right, ducking up and down, but you do not need to rotate, fortunately. So you can play this game perfectly fine with a tethered headset or an untethered headset like the Oculus Quest. But because everything is in front of you, you won't need to be focusing on getting tangled or avoiding wrapping yourself up in your tethered headset cable. For motion sickness, this game is not going to make you motion sick for 90% of what you're doing in the game. And if you don't get knocked out, you'll never get motion sick. The only time that we were motion sick in this game was when we would be hit enough to be knocked out or partially knocked out, and they would give us the 10 count to stand back up. When this happens, the screen gets blurry, your eyelids shut, and so part of the screen is darkened, and as a result, you get a little disoriented. But other than that, the game won't make you motion sick because your movements in the real world are tracked perfectly to your movements in virtual reality. As a result, very low probability that you'll be motion sick in this game, and virtually no probability that you'll get motion sick if you're an expert boxer and you never get hit. So, moral of the story, don't get hit and you'll avoid motion sickness. That's motivation enough for us, so maybe that'll help you in your quest to avoid motion sickness while in VR while playing Knockout League. For environment and immersion, this game was really fun, and the animations were really appropriate. The game developers didn't try too hard to make the other boxers look too realistic. They were fun opponents, they were cartoonized, they had exaggerated body features, and it was just a lot of fun to be in the environment. And if you paid attention during the tutorial, you should have enough skills in your tool belt to win these matches without too much of an issue. As a result, leveraging the skills that you learned and having the environment respond to your input in such a way that makes you feel like you're progressing toward a goal of winning makes this game a really fun game to be in, and it made the environment quite immersive and enjoyable. Now let's talk about the scorecard for Knockout League, starting with story and theme. We're giving this game a 7 out of 10 for story and theme. While there isn't a storyline, the theme around boxing was really well done, and we enjoyed the voiceover and the coaching that was provided by our trainer throughout. As you progress through the game, you're able to get a taste of this animated, fun, playful boxing game, as well as get a really great workout. And so we thought this was a great game, and we're giving it a great score of 7 out of 10. For controls in this game, we're giving it an 8 out of 10. The high score of an 8 out of 10 comes from the really great tracking from the real world to the virtual world, with your hands being tracked very well and your headset being tracked very well. The deduction in points here comes from the requirement to hold the triggers down while boxing to maintain your fists. But an 8 out of 10 is a great score, and the controls in this game were really great. For music and sound, we're giving this game a 7 out of 10. That's a really great score, and we thought that the audio was really fantastic experience. There's some room for improvement, though, with the repetition in the soundtrack that's being played in the background, as well as some of the repetitive noises that are coming from your opponents as you punch them. Outside of that, the game had some great audio experience, great spatial audio, great gameplay audio, and of course, we loved the trainer talking in our ear and motivating us every match and during the tutorial. For player movement, we're giving this game an 8 out of 10. That's a really high score, and we thought it was a really great game to move around inside of. But you couldn't move outside of your standing position. Even though the ring was very large, your fighting was constrained to a small portion right there in the middle. You aren't even able to take one step to the left or the right to dodge a punch. You have to do it from the standing position. You can lean or you can duck, but you cannot take a side step. It would be great to have a game like this mapped to your play area and have that be the ring, or at least where you can do your boxing. But an 8 out of 10 is a great score for player movement. For motion sickness, we're giving this game an 8 out of 10. That's a great score, and it's near the top of the range. The only issue we had here was that when you are knocked down or you are given the 10 count, your vision is blurred and your eyes begin to close for you in the game. As a result, you become disoriented. Otherwise, in the game, 90% of the time, you are not going to get motion sick, which is a fantastic thing for virtual reality. It makes this game one that you can bring friends into that are new to VR, or if you're sensitive to it yourself, this is a great game to play if you can avoid getting hit and avoid those moments where you can get some motion sickness. But 8 out of 10 because overall, the game will not cause motion sickness. For environment and immersion, we're giving the game a 7 out of 10. We had a great time in this game. The animations were great. The theme of boxing was great. We worked up a sweat while we were playing. We thought this game was a great title and a 7 out of 10. And now for the overall score for Knockout League, we're giving this game a 7.5 out of 10. That is really great score. It's among the higher scores that we've given for these VR games. And so we think this is definitely a game you should go out and give it a shot. It's part of the Viveport Infinity subscription, so you won't have to pay extra to get it, but it's also available on all the other VR stores. This has been 100 in 100, where we are reviewing 100 VR games in 100 days. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you can be notified tomorrow when we release another VR game review. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.